20 forgotten 1970s items that could make you rich today? I bet in your mind items from this decade are probably just memories, the dust of the past. But that's not entirely true. Hidden in attics, basements, and even at garage sales across America are real treasures from the 1970s that collectors would pay a lot of money to own. From familiar kitchenware to the toys that once were your whole world, these forgotten items could absolutely turn into cash for you today. Let's count down 25 surprising things from the 70s that could make you rich today. Sports trading cards? Think back to your childhood when baseball, basketball, or football cards were nothing more than pieces of paper for entertainment. You might have used them to trade with friends, bent them to make clacking noises on your bike spokes, or even worse, had your mom clean them up and throw them away as junk during a spring cleaning. Who would have thought that those flimsy, seemingly worthless pieces of paper are now considered collector's gold? What makes their value so extraordinary is that the 70s was the last era when people collected cards primarily for fun and passion, not for profit or speculation. This makes cards from that period that are intact and well-preserved incredibly rare. Very few people thought of keeping them in perfect condition when they were carefree kids. Just a few years ago, a baseball rookie card from this decade sold for an astounding $200,000. Just imagine, a small memento from your childhood, a simple joy from back then, could now be a small fortune. Vintage perfumes. Perfume has always been a personal beauty product, a way to express style and personality. But for those who lived through the 70s, the perfumes of that era were more than just a scent. They were bottled memories. Every drop evoked a story, a moment, an emotion from the past. However, over time, these old perfume bottles were often thrown away, or simply evaporated and lost their original scent. Today, perfume collectors are passionately hunting for rare vintage perfumes. They're not just looking for a scent, but for a feeling, a time, a place preserved in every fragrant molecule. Old perfume bottles, especially those that have never been opened, are almost impossible to find on the market. This scarcity has driven their value sky high. A pristine vintage perfume bottle, especially limited editions or from famous brands, can be worth thousands of USD. As they say, the older and rarer, the more valuable. It's ironic how what once smelled of the past can now smell of money. IKEA furniture. When it comes to IKEA furniture, many people often think of simple, affordable items that are easy to transport and assemble with that familiar Allen wrench. In the 70s, IKEA was starting to expand beyond Sweden, and their products were bought primarily for their utility and affordability, rather than for long-term collectible value. They were practical solutions for young people, those starting independent lives who needed simple, fuss-free furniture. However, surprisingly, some old IKEA furniture pieces from the 70s and 80s are now selling for thousands of dollars on online platforms. The reason is that during that period, IKEA created many bold modern pieces that fit the youth culture. These designs, with their clean lines, innovative materials, and subtle simplicity, are now considered mid-century modern treasures. A unique coffee table or a minimalist armchair you almost gave away could be worth much more than its original price. How funny it is, something you once struggled to assemble with an Allen wrench is now sought after by experts and collectors as a valuable antique. This shows that the beauty and value of design can transcend its original purpose. Lincoln Memorial Penny, 1970. In our daily lives, we often overlook loose change. They're easily tossed into tip jars at coffee shops or thrown into that junk drawer at home without a second thought. Who would have thought that a tiny common coin like the 1970 Lincoln Memorial Penny could hide a secret worth tens of thousands of dollars? Not all 1970 pennies are valuable, but a very specific type, known as the small date variety, is. This coin type is extremely rare because it has a distinctive minting feature, and only a very small number are known to exist in pristine condition. Finding such a coin is like finding a diamond in a pile of gravel. Currently, the value of a 1970 small date Lincoln Memorial Penny can reach tens of thousands of USD, even reaching $30,000 or more at auctions for serious coin collectors. This shows that even the most ordinary, overlooked things can have extraordinary value if you know exactly what and where to look for. Pyrex dishes. In the 70s, Pyrex dishes were an essential item in almost every American kitchen. They were so common that it seemed like every household had several sets. With their incredible durability, bright colors, and excellent heat resistance, these Pyrex dishes were bought for just a few dollars and used daily, from baking casseroles to storing leftovers in the fridge. They were a symbol of practicality and simple beauty in the family kitchen. However, surprisingly, these seemingly ordinary Pyrex dishes have now become highly sought after by collectors. Specifically, certain patterns like butter print, with butter and corn motifs, gooseberry with gooseberry motifs, and classic turquoise Pyrex dishes are very valuable. Collectors appreciate not only the nostalgia these dishes bring, but also their unique design and timeless durability. Some complete Pyrex sets in excellent condition can fetch hundreds, even thousands of USD on the collector's market. Lord of the Rings Knickerbocker playset. In 1978, an animated adaptation of The Lord of the Rings was released, but perhaps not many people remember it. Along with that film came the Knickerbocker playset, but unlike other blockbuster toy lines, these items were not mass-produced and were largely forgotten, unsold. They might have piled up in discount warehouses or simply been tucked away in dusty boxes in attics, waiting to be discarded. That was the ironic fate of many unpopular toys back then. However, with the strong resurgence of Tolkien fandom in recent decades, along with new films and TV shows, these once overlooked toys have become extremely valuable items. The demand for unique and rare memorabilia from the Tolkien universe has turned these forgotten toys into treasures. A complete Lord of the Rings. Knickerbocker playset in good condition can bring in tens of thousands of USD at auction. How funny it is, a toy once overlooked in a discount bin, considered junk, can become a gem eagerly sought after by true collectors. This shows that an item's value isn't just in its initial popularity, but also in how time and nostalgia can completely change our perception. Typewriters. Before computer screens and virtual keyboards took over our lives, typewriters were symbols of focus and meticulousness in turning letters into stories. The rhythmic clack of the keys, the ding at the end of a line, and the smooth roll of the paper all created a writing ritual that today's generation can hardly imagine. Typewriters were not just tools, but companions for writers, secretaries, and students, helping them create sharp, professional manuscripts. Today, with the return of retro trends and a slower pace of life, collectors are bringing these typewriters back into the spotlight. Specifically, electric typewriter models from the 70s are highly sought after for their combination of classic design and a touch of modern convenience. If you're lucky enough to own a working typewriter with all its parts, it could be worth several $100s, even over $1,000 depending on the brand, like Smith Corona, Olympia, or Royal, and overall condition. More than the money, there's something special about the weight of a typewriter, how it forces you to slow down and deliberately type each key, creating a physical connection to every word created. VHS tapes. In the 70s and even into the 80s, VHS tapes were the embodiment of a family entertainment ritual. Instead of just streaming a file, owning a VHS tape meant you could actually physically hold your favorite movie, put it in the player, rewind special scenes, and share the cinematic experience with your whole family right in the living room. It was a symbol of technological convenience at the time, and every video rental store was a treasure trove of discovery. But then, VHS tapes were quickly forgotten as DVDs and later streaming services emerged. Most of them were discarded or laid dormant in old boxes. However, surprisingly, VHS tapes have now become a serious collectible, especially if they are still sealed in their original packaging. Extremely rare or original copies of iconic films. Their value lies not only in the content within, but also in the moment in time that the tape represents. A pristine, sealed original copy of the classic film Jaws recently sold for over $30,000. Collectors see a true time capsule in an old VHS tape, a door back to a bygone era of home entertainment. So don't underestimate those old tapes. Magazines. Magazines in the 70s weren't just pages printed with entertaining information. They were authentic pop culture snapshots. From great historical events like the moon landing to celebrity weddings and the latest fashion trends, magazines captured it all. People often collected and preserved important issues, but most eventually got thrown away or lay dormant in attics, slowly yellowing and decaying over time. However, today, these seemingly worthless old magazines are being hunted by collectors. They particularly seek rare issues, first appearances of iconic characters, special editions commemorating major events, and covers featuring iconic celebrities of the decade. These factors have turned those yellowed pages into a big payout. Some magazines can sell for just $20, others for hundreds, and a few can even be worth thousands of USD depending on their rarity, condition, and historical significance. Apple computers. While today Apple is a global tech giant, back in the 70s, the first Apple computer looked like an odd and mysterious machine. With its crude wooden case, frameless keyboard, and no included monitor, most people didn't know what to do with it. It wasn't a mass consumer item, but a product for tech enthusiasts and electronics engineers who saw its revolutionary potential. Today, these early Apple computers have become highly sought after by collectors and tech historians. Specifically, the original Apple I is a true gem. Only a few hundred were hand-built by Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs, and even fewer exist today. Each one is a piece of tech history, representing the beginning of a digital revolution that completely changed how we live, work, and communicate. If you're lucky enough to own a working Apple I or one with its original box, you could be holding something worth over $20,000. Do you have any nostalgic items from the 70s that you especially love and keep? Share in the comments. We'd love to hear your story. Designer handbags. In the 70s, designer handbags were not just simple accessories to carry things. They were a powerful personal statement, reflecting the freedom, confidence, and bold style of the era. These bags were designed to stand out, to express the personality and sophistication of the woman carrying them. They were symbols of luxury, an investment in oneself, and an indispensable part of the wardrobe of stylish women. Today, vintage handbag designs from famous brands like Chanel, Hermès, and Louis Vuitton from that era still attract special attention from fashion enthusiasts and have become beloved collector's items. Collectors are willing to pay very high prices for original bags, especially if they are rare, limited editions, or in perfect condition. The value of these bags can jump to thousands of USD, sometimes even more, depending on the brand, model, rarity, and condition. More than the money, these bags carry the spirit of the women who once wore them. Confident, bold, unforgettable. Each bag is a story of fashion and history, a testament to timeless beauty. Board games. In the 70s, before the internet and video games dominated, board games were an important and indispensable part of family nights. They were a way to play together, gathering everyone around the dining table or living room, creating memories of rainy afternoons and even dramatic but memorable family arguments. Many board games were licensed based on TV shows, movies, and pop culture trends of the era, but after a while they also gradually disappeared from shelves and people's memories. However, today, vintage board games in good condition are becoming very valuable collector's items. Especially limited editions, complete sets with all pieces and instructions, or games with nostalgic artwork that evoke memories of a bygone era, are highly sought after by collectors. Some of these games can be worth hundreds of dollars or more. While their true value may lie in the memories of rainy afternoons and fun family arguments, for collectors, finding a rare version or a game they loved as a child is an indescribable joy, and they are willing to pay a high price to own a piece of the past. Vintage video games. In the 70s, gaming was pure pixelated fun, experienced through simple joysticks and crude cartridges. These early video games were not just entertainment. They launched a massive industry and a global cultural movement. From the bip-bip sounds of Pong to the simple squares of Space Invaders, they opened up a whole new world of digital interaction. Today, collectors are looking for the original console systems and game cartridges that started it all. The Atari 2600, released in 1977, along with classic games like Space Invaders, Adventure, and Donkey Kong, are hot items on the collector's market. The scarcity of original copies, especially those still pristine or even in sealed boxes, has driven their value up. Some rare titles can go for thousands of dollars, not just for their entertainment value, but also for their historical significance. These games represent a simpler time when pressing start meant pure joy, not the complexity or frustration we sometimes feel with modern games. They are the first bricks of the gaming culture we know today. Toy train sets. For many people, especially children in the 70s, toy train sets were not just ordinary toys. They were a fascinating miniature world, often circling the Christmas tree during the holidays. The feeling of building an intricate track, watching the small train run around, and creating your own stories in your imagination was a priceless memory. These train sets were often passed down from generation to generation, becoming part of family traditions. Today, vintage toy train sets, especially those from the Lionel brand, have become collector's gold. Lionel sets are famous for their exquisite detail, high durability, and realistic simulation of real trains. Special editions like the Mickey Mouse Express set from 1977 are highly sought after. To achieve the highest value, the train set must be in good condition, have its original box, perfectly working parts, and be a complete set. Such a set can push the price up to thousands of USD. Even if a toy train set isn't financially worth a fortune, its value is immense because it carries beautiful childhood memories, warm family moments, and the joy of creation. Rare stamps. In a world without email or instant messages, sending a letter was a meticulous and sometimes proud act. Each letter sent carried a stamp, a small but important symbol. Most stamps were discarded without a second thought after they completed their mission, becoming worthless pieces of paper in the flow of time. However, a few escaped that fate and are now treasured collectibles. Stamps become highly valuable if they have rare printing errors like the famous inverted Jenny error, a stamp with an upside-down airplane, or were issued in extremely limited quantities. Additionally, stamps associated with important historical events or featuring special images are also highly valued by collectors. Some such stamps have sold for $80,000, even close to $1 million USD depending on their rarity, preservation condition, and history. This is the clearest proof of the saying, the right stamp at the right time, it's paper gold. Vinyl records. In the 70s, vinyl records were the official and most popular way to listen to music. More than just music, the vinyl experience included intricate album art, carefully placing the needle on the record, and flipping the record after one side finished. All these elements created a special atmosphere, a music appreciation ritual we rarely get today. Every small scratch, every slight static was part of a unique listening experience. After a period of being forgotten by CDs and then digital music, the authentic, rich sound of vinyl has made a strong comeback in recent years. Collectors, professional DJs, and even young music lovers are hunting for vinyl records from the past, especially first pressings, iconic albums that defined a decade, and records by legendary artists. The condition of the record is also extremely important. Records in excellent condition, with few scratches, can be worth hundreds, sometimes more. Have you ever regretted throwing away an old item from the 70s that you now know could be very valuable? Vintage jewelry. Jewelry in the 70s wasn't just delicate accessories. They spoke volumes, expressing the bold personality and style of the era. It was the era of chunky gold chains, oversized pendants, and chunky bracelets with rich colors, sometimes adorned with natural stones or organic materials. 70s jewelry encouraged freedom of expression, unafraid to break traditional rules. Today, jewelry designs from famous brands like Cartier and Tiffany and Company from that period continue to attract attention and are beloved collector's items for fashion enthusiasts. Collectors and vintage fashion lovers are willing to pay high prices for original pieces, especially if they are signed or bear designer marks, ensuring authenticity and origin. If you have an original, its value can be significant. More than the money, these pieces of jewelry are meaningful gifts, family heirlooms passed down, or items bought on a whim in a special moment. Every small scratch, every clasp tells a story of life, love, and cherished moments. Vintage furniture. In the 70s, furniture was not only built to last, but also had a distinct personality. This was a period of bold, colorful, and unconventional designs, reflecting the free spirit and experimentation of society. Burnt orange velvet sofas, geometric coffee tables, or lava lamps all were symbols of a unique home decor style that sometimes made people roll their eyes at their peculiarity. Yet, surprisingly, these original 70s furniture pieces are now eagerly sought after by interior designers and retro enthusiasts. They appreciate their durability, uniqueness, and characteristic vintage style. Furniture pieces in good condition, especially rare designs or those part of limited editions, can be worth thousands of USD on the resale market. How funny it is, something that once made people surprised or even raise an eyebrow can now make them open their wallets and pay a large sum to own. Comic books. In the 70s, comic books were primarily companions for children and teenagers, not high-value collectibles. They were often creased, crumpled, traded with friends, or simply piled under the bed. Pages were flipped repeatedly until torn, and covers often frayed after many reads and shares. Few thought that these colorful pages about superheroes could become an investment. However, today, comic books from this era, especially first appearances of iconic characters, are among the most valuable items in pop culture history. Issues like giant-size X-Men #1, Tomb of Dracula #10, and early issues of The Amazing Spider-Man or Detective Comics in good condition can fetch five-figure prices. Collectors value them not only for their historical significance, but also because they are the foundation for many blockbuster movies and superhero universes today. Every crease, every faded corner holds a story of an imaginative childhood and limitless adventures. Antique watches. In the 70s, a watch was not just a time-telling device. They were important milestones in life. A classic watch was often a meaningful gift for special occasions or a symbol of achievement and social status. They were cherished, worn daily, and considered an extension of the owner's personality. Each watch carried stories, memories of time, and memorable moments. Today, collectors are eager to find these exquisite mechanical masterpieces, especially models with original parts, classic dials, or limited production. These watches are highly valued not only for their design, but also for their fine craftsmanship. A vintage Rolex Submariner or Omega Speedmaster in good condition is considered investment grade, with some pieces selling for tens of thousands of USD. They remind us to slow down, appreciate craftsmanship, and the beauty of time gone by. An antique watch is not just a fashion accessory, but a legacy, a piece of history passed down, carrying the stories of those who once wore them. Vintage models. The concept of vintage models in the 70s was quite diverse. It included exquisitely crafted miniature models like die-cast cars, plastic assembly kits, or limited edition figurines of famous characters. But at the same time, it also referred to the fashion icons of that decade, supermodels like Beverly Johnson or Cheryl Tiegs, who shaped beauty and fashion style. Both types of models captured the spirit of an era. Today, both types of these miniature models are attracting attention and high prices from collectors. For miniature models, values soar, especially if they are still in their original box, never opened. Mint in box condition is key. Meanwhile, memorabilia related to the careers of 70s supermodels are also hot commodities in the vintage fashion world, sought after by collectors and museums. Whether it's a miniature model or a supermodel's memento, they all have the same kind of impact. They captured not only trends, but also a significant moment in pop culture. It's a piece of history brought back to life. Scientific gadgets. In the 70s, science wasn't just confined to books or school labs. For many, especially curious young people, it was about playing with it on their desks. Scientific gadgets of that era, from simple microscopes to DIY electronics kits, were little windows into how the world works. They sparked curiosity, encouraged exploration, and laid the foundation for a generation of future scientists, engineers, and inventors. Today, collectors are seeking these vintage scientific gadgets not just for their function, but for the sense of curiosity, ingenuity, and timeless beauty they embody. These items represent a period when technology was booming and every discovery felt magical. Even early electronic pocket calculators or oscilloscopes from that era are significantly increasing in value, especially when they are still functional or come with their original packaging. These devices taught a generation to be curious, tinker, ask questions, explore, and now they are valuable relics of scientific and educational history. Rare sneakers. In the 70s, sneakers were primarily for walking. They were worn for jogging, playing sports, or simply daily wear until they wore out, and no one thought they would become vintage gold in the future. However, even then, shoes like Nike Cortez, Puma Suede, or Adidas Superstar transcended mere function to become true style statements, reflecting emerging fashion trends and hip-hop culture. Today, the world of vintage sneakers is a vibrant market, and collectors are willing to pay thousands of dollars for well-preserved pairs from the 70s. Specifically, pairs with rare colors, unique collaborations, or first editions of a particular line are highly sought after. Even used pairs in good condition can fetch high prices. How funny it is the shoes we once ran wild in as kids are now proudly displayed behind glass in collections. Lunchboxes. In the 70s, a metal lunchbox was more than just an item to carry lunch to school. It was how a child carried their personality. It was serious business. From superheroes to favorite cartoon characters, the lunchbox was a statement of preference and an indispensable part of every child's personal identity. However, most of these boxes suffered the fate of being dented, rusted, or simply thrown away after serving their purpose. Today, the surviving lunchboxes from that period have become collector's gold. A pristine metal lunchbox, especially if it comes with its original thermos, can be worth hundreds, sometimes up to thousands of USD. This value increases even further if the box's design is rare or associated with a popular brand, TV show, or movie. What truly gives them value is not the paint or the metal, but the memory of opening the lid to find a sandwich, a note from mom, and the comfort of something familiar in a noisy, big world. It's a preserved piece of childhood. Shag carpets. Shag carpets were the ultimate symbol of bohemian comfort and distinctive 70s style. They were loud, soft, and brought a cozy feeling to every room. From burnt orange to avocado green, these carpets defined the living spaces of a generation. However, they were also notorious for being difficult to vacuum and easily stained, making cleaning a huge challenge. For that reason, many carpets were discarded or replaced as decor trends changed. Yet, retro charm has made a strong comeback, and shag carpets are no exception. Interior designers and collectors are looking for authentic vintage pieces with bold colors and unique textures. Some round or original patterned shag carpets from the 70s are now worth over $1,000, especially if they are kept clean and well preserved. They are not just a decorative item, but also have their own personality, bringing warmth, quirkiness, and a little retro-style underfoot to modern spaces. Finding a classic shag carpet in good condition is truly rare and valuable. Which decade should we make our next video about? 1960s, 1980s, or 1990s? Vote in the comments and let us know what you think. If you enjoyed this nostalgic trip down memory lane, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our next exciting videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.